Shalom, everybody, from Interfaithfulness, where we're building bridges, where history builds walls. And this coming weekend, we have Parshat Noach, the passage in the Bible which talks about Noah. But also, at the end of that passage, we talk about the Tower of Babel. And as I was looking at it, I realized it has tremendous implications for us right now, and I felt I had to share it with you, even though it comes dangerously close to discussing politics, which I promised I wouldn't discuss for a while. But I'm not going to favor one side of an equation or another, so don't get excited. But I want to share with you from this passage in the Tower of Babel and what it points to, how it helps us to think about what we need in our country at this time. In Genesis 11, when these people in the plain of Shinar are getting together and they decide they're going to build a tower up to heaven, in chapter 11 of Genesis, verse 6, we read that Adonai said, "Look, the people are united. They all have a single language, a single lingo, a single way of talking about their situation. And see what they're starting to do. At this rate, nothing they set out to accomplish will be impossible for them." So they had a common way of speaking about their situation, as I said, a common lingo. And that's one of the first things that we need in our country right now. This is not talking about everybody speaking English, because you can all speak English and not understand each other. Or it's not forbidding Spanish, God forbid. No, it's not about that. It's about the fact that we're talking past each other. We don't hear each other. We don't understand each other. We think we understand, but we don't. And so the first thing we need in our country right now, regardless of which side of the equation you line up on, is we need a common lingo. And the word is achdut. We need unity. And there's four places where a people with unity is mentioned in the scripture. A second place is in Genesis 34. You remember Dinah, the sister of the 12 fellows who were the progenitors of the 12 tribes of Israel. She was the sister, and this fellow Shechem takes a liking to her and he sleeps with her. And then he tells his father, he says, "Look, I want you to go to these people, these Israelites, the sons of Jacob." He wouldn't have called them Israelites, the sons of Jacob, and ask them if we can enter into a covenant together. And so the sons of Jacob say to them, "Well, we can't do that unless the people in your village the men will all agree to be circumcised so that we can be one people, a common bond." They said, then Hamor goes, the father of Shechem goes to the people of the village and reports this to them. And he says, then we'll give our daughters to you, and we'll take your daughters to ourselves, and we'll live with you and become one people. So here in America, we need, number one, a common lingo. We need to really understand what each other is saying. Number two, we need a common bond. Now, fortunately, in Hebrew, in Israel, they call the United States Artzot Habrit, the lands of the covenant, actually. And we have allegedly a common bond, although we forget that. It's what the Civil War fought to preserve, the United States. So we need to remember that we're supposed to be a united people with a common way of speaking about our situation. Let's go on to one more. This is from the book of Esther. The book of Esther, Haman, he talks to Ahasuerus, the king of Persia, and he says, "There is a particular people scattered and dispersed among the peoples in the provinces of your kingdom. Their laws are different from those of every other people. Moreover, they don't observe the king's laws. It doesn't befit the king to tolerate them. Their laws are different. We need a common law that we hold in common with each other. So we need to uphold our constitutional democracy. We need a common law. We need a common bond. We need a common lingo. And if we can remember to pursue these things, the problem is, I don't care what your opinion is. I don't care what side of the equation you're on, but if we are struggling to differ with each other, we will create disaster for our country, no matter what our point of view is. Let me give you one more quote here. This is that quote from back in the Tower of Babel. Adonai said, "Look, the people are united. They all have a single language. They understood each other. They had a common lingo. And see what they're starting to do? At this rate, nothing they set out to accomplish will be impossible for them. If we have a common way of speaking, if we understand each other and really hear each other, if we remember our common bond, if we uphold a common law, nothing we set out to accomplish will be impossible for us. But if we fight for the ways in which we're different, if we cannot arrive at a common way of understanding our situation, if we cannot uphold our common bond as Artsot Habrit, the United States, if we cannot uphold and submit to a common law, then everything is going to be impossible. I felt I had to share that with you today, here from Interfaithfulness, where we're building bridges, where history builds walls. It's about time here in America that we remembered that that's exactly what we have to do with each other. We need to build bridges where history builds walls. I just wanted to share that with you. I'm going to be sharing that with our mailing list this weekend in Shulchan Shalanu. I will put up, along with this video, an address where you could subscribe if you'd like to. But meanwhile, remember what I said, because it's not just what I say. It's what Scripture says. It's what God says. And it's what we need. Shalom from Interfaithfulness, where we're building bridges, where history builds walls.